My idea on remakes. Hello, everyone. So, what's the rage in Hollywood today? Remakes are all the rage. Either a remake or a reboot or a retelling. If it's an original idea, chances are they don't want anything to do with it. Now, is there anything wrong with that? Well, since this is my report, I'll say that as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, old ideals change. Themes that were socially acceptable back when a film was originally made certainly would merit a remake in order to catch up with the times. Example, views, such as the inherent weakness of the female gender, would merit a remake to make the female characters more positive and reinforcing. One instance that comes to mind is George A. Romero's 1968 zombie classic, Night of the Living Dead. Now, the original film was already groundbreaking, having cast Dwayne Jones, a very obviously African American actor, in a main role. Not a small role either, but he was the lead player. A calm and resourceful hero who was the heart and soul of the film as soon as he entered the scene. In other words, as this is the film that started off the whole zombie craze, he was the original Rick Grimes. Now bear in mind, that was 1968. But let's talk women. The women of the original movie, they're kind of weak links. They whine, they moan, they complain. They're rather dependent on their male counterparts. They're downright annoying, and it kind of ruins the appeal of the movie, for me at least. Then came the 1990 version, the first of its many remakes. The film addressed the issue the original had by making the female characters, or at the very least, the lead Barbara, portrayed by Patricia Tallman in the remake, more strong, assertive, and independent. Whereas she was essentially a victim in the original film, she takes and embraces the role of hero in the 90s version. Now, on that particular note, I'll give remakes a slide. However, we are remaking way too many good movies, and that is a problem. You have Point Break, Ghostbusters, A Nightmare on Elm Street. The list can, and usually does, go on and on. All of these films have been remade, and the question on my mind is, do any of these remakes really need to exist? Granted, I haven't seen any of the remakes I just listed, but really, I don't want to. I mean, the originals hold up and still speak to me, and I hope to you, the viewing audience, to this very day. There's an old saying, and I think it sums up my general reaction to these movies: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So here's one suggestion, from me at least. How about instead of remaking good movies, they remake bad movies? There are movies that have bombed that could use some attention. Heaven's Gate, Ishtar, Dune, Waterworld, Batman and Robin, G. Lee, Battlefield Earth, Pixels. There's just so much to list. Challenge yourself, Hollywood. Take a bad film, announce you're going to remake it and attempt to improve it, and if the public gives you backlash, campaign the crap out of it. Personally, it would impress me if you attempted to take up this sort of challenge instead of dish after dish of the good stuff you keep giving us. Or alternatively, another suggestion? How about a lost film? What do I mean by a lost film? What I mean is a film that is no longer known to exist in any studio archive, private collection, public archive, or any format whatsoever. See, there was a time when Hollywood had no actual idea of the impact films would have on the viewing audience, and made no effort to preserve them as they do today. Sadly, the end result of this is a lot of films were either burned in a fire, or film reels were left to rot over time. Therefore, a lost film. One that comes specifically to mind? 1927's London After Midnight. Absolutely no one of my generation, or the past few generations for that matter, has ever seen this movie. But we know it existed, largely due to photo shoots of actor Lon Chaney's iconic vampire look. Since the original can't be found, how about someone pick that up and remake it? Now true, this has been remade once with 1935's Mark of the Vampire, which is certainly not a lost film, but some names and circumstances were changed. That being said, don't you think it's high time we get a genuine remake? Or if you're really into reboots, how about a reboot of the original Gollum franchise? Not the precious character from The Lord of the Rings, but rather the artificial animated being from Jewish folklore. There was a trilogy released in the silent film era, and from how I come to understand it, only one of the three films still exists. I've seen it. It's pretty good. That being said, it would be nice to have a film franchise like that rebooted, don't you think? I'm Mike, and this has been a Penguins Rock production.